A lot of attention is surrounding the Los Angeles Lakers right now, especially because of the situation involving LeBron James. At the moment, the superstar forward is still being listed as day-to-day as he deals with his current injury, and during the most recent full-team practice, he was not on the floor with the rest of the group. The Lakers did manage to hold a complete practice session, which is actually a positive sign considering how chaotic the schedule can be at this point in the season. The coaching staff used that time to focus on correcting details that have been slipping recently, particularly defensive pick and roll coverages and off-ball screening situations. Those two areas have been emphasized heavily because the next matchup carries serious implications for the standings, and every adjustment could make the difference. The upcoming game against Minnesota is not just another regular season contest. This one has real weight attached to it, because the Western Conference standings are incredibly tight right now. If the Lakers manage to pull off the win, they would move into the 4th seed in the conference. That shift would push Houston back up into the 3rd position, while Minnesota would slide down 2 spots into the 5th seed. In other words, this single game could reshape the playoff picture almost immediately. Whoever walks away with the victory is putting themselves in a much better position to secure that 4th spot, while the losing team risks dropping into a more dangerous matchup. That scenario becomes even more interesting when you consider what it could mean for the first round of the playoffs. If the standings finish in that range, the 4th and 5th seeds would face each other immediately. That opens the possibility of the Lakers seeing either Minnesota again or potentially dealing with a matchup involving Denver, depending on how the final standings shake out. These are not easy opponents, and everyone around the team understands that positioning right now could determine how difficult the road through the postseason becomes. The Lakers are coming into this stretch with momentum after securing a huge win against the New York Knicks. That victory was extremely important because the team had been searching for a spark, and they found it in a big way. One of the players who stepped up in that game was Austin Reeves, who delivered one of his most aggressive performances in recent weeks. For a while, there had been growing concern about his offensive approach, especially because his shot attempts had dropped noticeably compared to earlier in the season. In that matchup against New York, though, he looked much closer to the version of himself that Lakers fans had become accustomed to watching. Reeves attacked the defense with confidence, pushed the pace, and created opportunities both for himself and his teammates. That level of aggression is something the coaching staff has been wanting to see again. There had been a stretch where his role seemed to shift slightly, and part of that had to do with how the offense was functioning once LeBron returned to the lineup earlier in the season. When all 3 primary playmakers are on the floor together, the balance of responsibility becomes extremely important. At one point, the offense was flowing beautifully when each of the main contributors settled into clearly defined roles. There was a game where the scoring distribution perfectly illustrated that balance. Luka handled the bulk of the offensive creation and finished with a massive scoring night. Reeves followed closely behind with an explosive performance of his own, and LeBron still delivered an efficient scoring output while operating in a slightly different role. That game showed exactly what the Lakers can look like when the offensive hierarchy functions smoothly. The key detail in that performance was how LeBron approached the game. Instead of controlling every possession, he worked more frequently without the ball, cutting into space, setting screens, and picking his moments to attack. Even while playing in that adjusted role, he still managed to produce a strong scoring night. That type of balance is something that could unlock the best version of this roster, because it allows the younger stars to carry more of the regular season workload, while LeBron focuses on maximizing impact in crucial moments. When Reeves missed time with his own injury earlier, that balance shifted again. LeBron had to step forward and take on a larger offensive role to keep the team stable. Naturally, when Reeves returned, there was a period of adjustment where he seemed hesitant to immediately reclaim that aggressive approach. It is not difficult to understand why. Playing alongside a legend like LeBron naturally creates a level of respect and deference, especially for someone who built his reputation by working his way up through the roster. Throughout LeBron's career, teammates have often found themselves adjusting their style to fit alongside him. His presence commands attention, both from opponents and from his own teammates. for the Lakers to reach their highest potential, though that dynamic needs to evolve slightly. The idea is not about reducing LeBron's importance. Instead, it is about optimizing how all three main offensive threats function together on the floor. In many ways, allowing Reeves and Luka to handle the majority of the offensive creation during long stretches of games could actually benefit LeBron. It would preserve his energy, reduce the physical toll over the course of the long regular season, and allow him to pick specific moments to take over when the team truly needs it. There will always be situations where the Lakers need the full force of LeBron at maximum intensity, especially in high-pressure games where experience becomes invaluable. Those moments are exactly where his legendary ability to take control becomes irreplaceable. When a playoff series reaches a decisive game, when the pressure rises and the margin for error disappears, that is when a player with LeBron's knowledge and composure becomes the ultimate advantage. His understanding of the game, combined with the countless postseason battles he has experienced, gives the Lakers a weapon that very few teams can match once the playoffs begin. Another important factor that continues to shape the Lakers' approach right now is patience with LeBron's recovery. Even though the team is fighting for position in a crowded Western Conference race, there's a strong argument for not rushing him back onto the floor. The regular season is important, but everyone inside the organization understands that the real objective begins once the playoffs arrive. At this stage of LeBron's career, managing his health could end up being one of the most important decisions the team makes during the final stretch. There is also the reality that the Lakers have proven they can still compete when he is not available. Earlier in the season, when LeBron missed a significant stretch of games, the team continued to find ways to win. That period gave the younger core an opportunity to take on larger responsibilities, and they responded well. It showed that the roster has enough talent to remain competitive even when the veteran leader is temporarily out of the lineup. But there is a clear difference between being a competitive team and being a legitimate championship threat. That gap is where LeBron's value becomes impossible to ignore. His impact is not limited to scoring numbers or highlight plays. The real difference shows up in decision-making, in reading defensive adjustments, and in controlling the rhythm of crucial possessions. Those small details often decide playoff games, and very few players in the history of the league have mastered those moments the way he has. Experience alone gives the Lakers a massive advantage whenever he is on the floor. When you compare his career resume to the rest of the league, it becomes almost unbelievable how much postseason basketball he has played. There are situations where his individual playoff experience actually exceeds the combined total of entire opposing rosters. That kind of knowledge cannot be taught or replaced, especially when the pressure reaches its peak. Even so, the strategy moving forward could revolve around letting the younger stars carry more of the nightly offensive workload. Luka and Austin Reeves both have the energy and scoring ability to handle the long grind of an 82-game season. They can attack defenses, create plays, and keep the offense moving while LeBron operates more strategically within the flow of the game. That adjustment could also allow him to focus more on other areas that remain critical for the team's success. One of those areas is defense. When LeBron fully commits on the defensive end, the entire structure of the Lakers system changes. His size, strength, and basketball intelligence allow him to anchor rotations, communicate adjustments, and disrupt opposing offenses in ways that statistics do not always capture. There was a stretch last season where the Lakers built one of the strongest defensive runs in the league, and LeBron played a major role in organizing that effort. If the team can rediscover that defensive identity, it would dramatically increase their chances of making a deep postseason run. Defense travels well in playoff environments, especially when offensive possessions slow down and every point becomes harder to earn. Having a veteran presence directing that side of the floor could be just as important as any scoring performance. Meanwhile, the offensive rhythm of the team also benefits when Austin Reeves plays aggressively. Earlier in the season, he was averaging close to 18 shot attempts per game, constantly putting pressure on defenses by attacking the paint and drawing contact. Recently, those attempts dropped closer to 12, and a larger percentage of them came from beyond the three-point line. While he is certainly capable of knocking down outside shots, that style does not fully utilize his strengths. Reeves is most dangerous when he is driving into the defense, forcing rotations, and creating chaos in the middle of the floor. That pressure opens passing lanes, creates opportunities for cutters, and allows the offense to generate higher quality looks. When he becomes too reliant on perimeter shooting, defenses become more comfortable playing him differently. They start going under screens and giving him more space, inviting him to settle for jump shots instead of attacking downhill. Watching how defenses react to him reveals a lot about what opponents prefer. Many teams are willing to let him attempt multiple three-point shots if it means preventing him from collapsing the defense with drives. They would rather see him taking long-range attempts than see him getting to the free throw line or setting up easy opportunities for teammates near the basket. That is why the Lakers look far more dynamic when Reeves is consistently aggressive. When he is attacking, Luka is orchestrating the offense, and LeBron is moving intelligently without the ball. The defense has to account for threats coming from every direction. That balance makes it extremely difficult for opposing teams to focus on stopping just one player. Of course, there will always be moments where the game demands something different. There will be nights where the Lakers need LeBron to take over offensively, dominate possessions, and impose his will on the game. Those situations are still part of what makes him special. But over the course of a long season, finding the right balance between those explosive moments and a more controlled role could be the key to keeping the entire roster functioning at its highest level. At the same time, the current stretch of games is revealing a lot about the character of this Lakers roster. Even with injuries and constant adjustments in the rotation, the team has continued to fight through difficult matchups and maintain its position in a brutally competitive Western Conference. That resilience is something the coaching staff has been emphasizing during practices, especially when focusing on defensive communication and execution in pick-and-roll situations. Cleaning up those details might not generate headlines, but in tight games those are the exact areas where victories are often decided. As the season pushes deeper into its final phase, every possession, every defensive stop, and every smart rotation becomes more important. The Lakers know the margin between climbing the standings and sliding into a dangerous playoff path is incredibly thin. With players like Luka and Austin Reeves carrying more of the offensive momentum and LeBron carefully managing his return, the team is navigating a delicate balance between winning now and preparing for the battles that are waiting just around the corner. Before we continue, we ask that you leave a like and subscribe to the channel so you won't miss any exclusive Lakers updates. Moving on, rumors are swirling around a Los Angeles basketball scene after new whispers suggested the Los Angeles Lakers may have deliberately concealed internal plans surrounding the trade deadline, leaving fans and analysts questioning what really happened behind the scenes. What initially appeared to be a quiet, calculated approach to roster management is now being reinterpreted by some insiders as something far more strategic and potentially controversial. In the days following the deadline period, speculation began to grow that the organization had been working on moves that were never meant to reach the public eye. According to league chatter, several discussions with other franchises may have progressed further than previously believed. Yet none of those negotiations materialized into official transactions, leading many observers to wonder whether the front office intentionally allowed the situation to remain hidden. Sources close to the league claim the Lakers' leadership evaluated multiple scenarios involving key rotation players, but ultimately chose to keep their intentions secret, even within certain internal circles. The theory circulating among reporters is that the franchise wanted to avoid destabilizing the locker room during a critical stretch of the season. However, that explanation has not stopped speculation from spreading rapidly across fan communities. Some analysts now suggest the organization may have used silence as a tactical move, carefully controlling what information reached rival teams and the media. By limiting leaks, the Lakers could have preserved negotiating leverage or avoided inflating the market for potential trades. Whether this was a masterclass in front office strategy or simply a missed opportunity remains unclear. What has truly ignited debate, though, is the growing belief among fans that the full story has yet to emerge. Online discussions exploded as supporters questioned whether the franchise had been fully transparent about its intentions during the deadline window. For a team constantly under the microscope, even the smallest hint of secrecy can quickly evolve into a full-blown controversy. Inside the locker room, there is no public indication that players were directly affected by the rumors. Still, the idea that negotiations might have taken place quietly behind closed doors adds another layer of intrigue to a season already filled with pressure and expectations. For now, nothing has been officially confirmed. But in a league where information travels fast and mysteries rarely stay hidden for long, many believe the truth behind the Lakers' deadline strategy could eventually surface. And when it does, it may reshape how this moment in the season is remembered. Stay informed exclusively about Los Angeles Lakers news. Subscribe to our channel and hit the like button to keep receiving daily updates. Also, share your opinion on the news in the comments, as your contribution is crucial for the Lakers. Stay tuned for the next video.